All right. Good evening, everyone. And this is Tamar Selvan here. And very, very happy to connect with all of you through the YouTube streaming today. Uh, yeah. So we'll start off another couple of minutes. This is like the first time I'm solo doing YouTube streaming all by myself. We did it for other people, but not for myself. So I'm kind of driving this entire show all by myself. So I would need some feedback either on YouTube or on Zoom. If anybody could join and tell me that you're able to hear my voice, that would help me. All right. Um, okay, so okay, so let's get into the session. Well, this session is a very important session for all of us, especially for the parents whose kids are, in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students, uh, because this is an important problem, and the pandemic and the last 1.5 years of lockdown has changed the way that the world will work in the future. And this means that we need to really think through about or validate whether the education is giving us enough amount of skills that will help our children thrive in the new normal. And that's precisely how and why we came up with this session. This will be for about 15-20 minutes, and if you have any questions, happy to answer. Otherwise, it will be a wrap up by end of 20 minutes or so. So this is a slide that I would want to put forward to all of you. If you look at this slide, this was the number of international patents applied by country-wise in 1990. Well, as the slide, kind of is self-explanatory. The United States has the highest number of international patent applications during 1990. But then, if you look at 2000, things have not changed much. If you look at Germany, UK, Japan, almost these four countries kind of dominate in the top four. But then in 2019, if you see, China makes a surprise entry. Between 2010 to 2019, they grew exponentially in terms of the number of patent applications. Right? The China, of course, their policies are different, the governance are different. But the one thing that we need to keep in mind is there is a country that overtook the entire League of Nations just in about a decade, less than a decade, actually speaking. Because they're zooming past the top 4, top 5 countries happened in about 5-year period. Now, this is something that a story that we all need to understand and we need to question. The most important question that we need to ask ourselves is why India is not even in this list, right? I mean, we are boasting about our elite institutions and our legacy. There is so much of tradition, culture, history, all those things are there. But then today, are we competing globally? Are we in the global game? The question, I believe, is still unanswered, and the table, at least by the numbers that it looks like, we are not yet there. So that is why the question came to us, like, why is India missing in this list? And then we understood that there is some background to it, and some amount of deep diving and understanding the situation. So there is the story of PISA, Program for International Student Assessment, that that I would like to throw, kind of explain to you. Maybe both of us can understand what exactly went wrong. Now look at this question. This question is fairly a very simple question, but at least this is the kind of question that the Organization for Economically Developed Countries, OECD, this is something that they have given to the students for the PISA test, because Program for International Student Assessment is a test that is conducted about 3 to 4 years, once in every 3 to 4 years. Now, in 2009, India participated. I'll tell you what exactly happened then. But then the story here is these are the kind of questions the students are given while they are taking the test. Now, in this question, the answer is very clear. But then, even with these kind of questions, a large number of Indian students struggled, right? And they did not have a clear cut understanding of what exactly was asked. Now, look at this question. Now, this question talks about a seismograph, and it's asked about how long did the quake last, and they are giving you two readings, and they are asking us to explain or understand or give the answer like which one is the correct one. Is it 3 seconds, 20 seconds, 28 seconds, or 44 seconds? Now, again, most of the students were not able to give the correct answer. Now, the problem here is the the seismograph is something that the students are not kind of exposed to. Now when they are asked to understand the reading of it, now they are not able to really assimilate what could be the right answer. Now again, this is a problem, right? At an international level, I'm sure most of the school students out there in any of the country, Japan, UK, USA, I'm sure most of them wouldn't have got exposed to a seismograph. But then how come they are able to give a right answer, whereas Indian students are still struggling, right? Now, this actually led us to a dismal performance in 2009 PISA test. India ranked 73rd out of the 74 countries participated. The 74th country was Kazakhstan, right? And after about 12 years, India is participating this year. They've asked the Navodaya schools and Kendriya Vidyalaya school students to participate. I'm sure this year would be a better performance, and we hope that they really perform well. The point is there is a strong correlation between the zooming ahead of China in the patents race, and also the dismal performance of India in the PISA test. Now, what is that problem? The problem, before I kind of tell you the exact gap, there are certain problems that the students go through, especially at school. Now, most of us think that in a highly competitive scenario, the questions could be from the textbook, but necessarily not, right? Because if anybody who have given the SAT exams or GMAT or any of the GRE exam, questions, most of the questions come from kind of out of textbook, right? They take from literature and lots of other areas, and they post questions. Now that's again because we kind of have this mentality that if we read this textbook, within this book only the questions will be asked, and any minor variant also is kind of going to be difficult for us. So I think we are more relying on the memory skills that we have rather than understanding the question itself, right? And the reading habit, we don't really tend to read properly, even in office space, in the professional space. We see that people don't read emails. In social media, you can see that every day people don't read, but they just go and comment because they understand things differently, right? So the reading part is also dying as an art in the student community today. And the process of answering questions itself is it's not something that is correct. We are not looking for patterns to solve the problem. We're looking for familiarity, right? And there's nothing like we kind of see what could be the pattern and kind of associate the pattern with what you already know, and then try to solve the question, which is not happening in our students today. We can see that in many things, many things, including how people behave in traffic, crowd. We can see that people, I can give you a classic example. In a classic example, assume that there are two counters in a cafeteria, and one counter is always crowded. Even the other counter, if it has the same food, nobody goes there. The reason is very simple. People look at the one that is overcrowded and they naturally think that that is the counter. They don't look elsewhere, and they don't think there is also another counter out in the same room. And I've seen this in my previous employers multiple times. I've tested this hypothesis. It always holds good. If you get into a cafeteria, if there are two counters for the crowd, one counter will mostly be free, the other counter will always be crowded. And now this is how problems should be solved, because we know that a lot of crowd will be there, and not obviously people won't just have one counter, but that pattern matching and solving the problem is not prevailing even in adults today. And if something unfamiliar is given to us, we generally don't like it, and we are always the ones who liked others to test things and tell us. We don't like to test things ourselves. So that's why we always rely on movie reviews or reviews, because we don't want to spend money on something that that risk has to be taken by somebody else, and we will just go with what they have told us. That holds good for our the current vaccination. Whatever you take, it's always like whether somebody has done it and nothing happened to them, okay, then I will go. Right. So this is something that we are tend to kind of, that again, that pattern, the cycle is continuing in the next generation as well. And look at the way it affects the entire nation, and the way growth will also be affected, which I'll come to you in a minute. Now, the genuine low understanding of the processes or concepts, like we don't have an understanding of the process. It's always memory, right? We kind of memorize something, we go give it our best shot, and then it's done. But it's very important to understand the concept, and then kind of, what do you say, then go ahead solving the problem. That is again one of the main reasons why um, you know we have failed miserably in the PISA assessment. Now, why this PISA assessment is something very important for us to consider, because this is a gold standard to understand how students have numerical, verbal, and problem-solving skills in a global scale, and Indian children are not even in the global scale, which is actually, I'm sure most of us, will feel bad to even know this kind of a news. The biggest gap that we feel that today we have is problem solving. We are creating people. Our children are very good in problem solving, especially if it's a video game. But if it's a real life scenario, I think we kind of uh, we kind of miss out on major level, right? And now, problem solving is not a single entity. It is a multiple things. For example, if I have to dissect problem solving, if imagine that is it's a living thing, and I have to dissect. There are two parts to it. One is the creative thinking, another one is the critical thinking. Now, if you look at creative thinking, is the thinking we do when we generate ideas, and critical thinking is when we judge ideas, whether to decide whether that idea is worth it or not. These skills are not, I'm not saying these skills are absent in our kids. I'm saying the application of these skills are in the wrong place, right? For example, the creative thinking, critical thinking comes very handy if somebody wants to buy a movie ticket first day first show. I'm sure they somehow find a person or find a way to get the first day first show ticket. But then when it comes to solving a social problem or a real world problem, generally we don't want to take that risk. We want a smooth sail. We want a happy life. We want a comfortable life. We become a comfort seekers than challenge seekers, right? It's because we are not trained to solve problems. That's why most of us, we do an assessment called motivational needs. In that assessment, you wouldn't believe, most of the motivation, the most of the needs of children are comfort than achievement or power or anything else. Now, this is how we have seen how it's a real data, right? How children have done the test. Now, between creative thinking and critical thinking is where the intersection point is the problem solving, right? Now, the question to all of us: are we trained to imagine possibilities? Probably not until we get into the world of work. Are we trained to brainstorm solutions? I don't think even today people go out when they are lost in the road. They don't even ask for directions today. That's what I believe. They don't know how to brainstorm. They don't know how to seek for help. I don't know. I have, even within our own team, when I ask people for ideas, immediately people will shoot down somebody's ideas, and those kind of things don't help. And how to elaborate on your idea, how to improvise, because people want everything perfect. As an entrepreneur, I have faced a lot of flack from my own team. People think that I need to have that perfect solution to get started. But every time it's an improvising, right? I mean, whatever I did yesterday, if it didn't work, I have to think differently and improvise. Now, this is how creative thinking helps. And critical thinking, I always, we need to consider perspectives. We need to consider what other people think. We need to consider pros and cons, and one has to decide. right? And today I feel critical thinking and creative thinking both are missing out in the essential area, but it's there in unwanted areas today. That's what I feel. So the alignment has to be right. So I'm sure the kids are very talented and they have a lot of knowledge more than me or you, but I think the alignment is what is missing today, and that's precisely where I thought we should really help the children to do that. So simple steps that we could really help the children understand is help them understand what is their problem and ask, probe them to come up with some solutions. Also give them, ask them to think from different angle, like what would happen if, and would it be safe, would it be fair, is it ethical, is it right, and how would everyone feel. Then make them take a call, right? Helping them, this is something that one has to start doing at home level, right? One of the some of the ways in which parents can help the children to critically think at home. Of course, creative thinking, it requires a very different kind of a coaching. Critical thinking, at least we can, parents can give at home, where one can be questioned, one can, I think we are all argumentative by default. That's the default setting by which we come. We tend to argue over everything, which is good. But we need to argue productively so that we help the child to understand that there are different points of views, and one needs to look at different points of views before they do anything, right? So this is how we need to look at how we can bring critical thinking, creative thinking inside our home. um, Now, one thing that we understand is these are very essential skills. I don't think anyone gives as much importance to problem solving as much they do for any coaching, exam coaching, right? Because exam coaching gives us, recent I saw an ad that was posted by a very famous IIT coaching, JEE coaching institute, saying that because of the coaching, they were able to become good commerce graduate, good accountant, good business manager, etc., etc. But then it's not about preparing for cracking exams, right? I mean, it's about, that's a lifestyle. It's a way of living. Looking at everything in a critical thinking mode, not discounting any views, not accepting any view, but then in learning to decide for oneself. I think it's very, very important for our children, because I think this is where we start becoming pioneers in our journey. I generally believe that, one of my friend, she says that we are all trained to become corporate coolies. I mean, it's a very strong word, but then if you look at the way in which we all have groomed, is we are not allowed to question, we are not allowed to be challenged or challenge. So our culture has made us like this way, but what worked for us so far may not work for us in the future, may not, right? And for that, I think we all have to wake up to the reality. Now everything is digital, and we need to, sometimes we need to have conversation like how I'm doing right now. I don't even know if you are existing there, you're not, I don't even know whether you're listening to me, but I need to develop a way to communicate what I am thinking to you who's listening to this webinar or video, whatever you want to call it. And this is a very important skill. Digitally, we need to be evolved, because there's going to be a lot of noise, there's going to be a lot of fake news, a lot of opinions. And how do we see things clearly? you know uh, Kind of culling out a fact from the opinion itself is going to be a big challenging task for a lot of us, and trying to understand how we are going to work towards achieving that milestone itself is a journey, and that has to start at home. And that's precisely why this is a very important skill gap that we need to address at our home with our children as soon as possible. Because if they are going to spend time on video games, Netflix, I mean, it's a personal choice, but then what will happen is, the brain functionality, the cognitive elasticity, as we may call it, will become very, very problematic. As they grow, more rigidity will set in, and more rigidity means more challenge in changing. And now that, if most of us have raised our children with a lot of comfort. You click the button, Swiggy delivers. If you click the button, cab arrives. Click the button, everything happens. So somebody, if you're forcing them to come out of the comfort zone and think, it's going to be critical. It's going to be challenging. So as a point and as a way to catalyze, or as a catalyst to this problem, it's my duty, and it's also my honor to share that we have a program to develop essential higher order thinking skills, which is basically to convert doers into thinking doers. Right? We need doers, but we need thinking doers, and we need doers who can solve issues. Right? So that's where we want to start. So there's a level 1 program that we have created for grade 9 to 12, and this program is called a Pioneer, and we are starting on June 12th. And this is something that we are very, very proud, because this is batch 1 is already under the way. We are going to finish batch 1 this weekend, and batch 2 is what we are starting on June 12th. And I'm sorry, this I should have hidden. Yeah. So the modules that we are looking at is, there are 4 modules. Module 1, there's no particular order, but these are addressed as part of this session. So we are talking about how to self-manage. Now, the question is, solving problem means we need to be stable when we face a problem, right? We should not be perturbed. We should not get agitated. We should not get shaken up. So we need to think clearly when there is a crisis or a problem. That's where self-management comes. How do you see things clearly? And because everything starts with the mind first, right? So self-management, then critical thinking. How do you analyze from different points of views? How do you apply creative thinking? Out-of-box thinking is something that we are teaching as part of the session. Then design thinking, because sometimes communicating your idea is going to be a very challenging thing. How do you conceptualize? How do you really come up with an evidence that your idea will work? How do you convince the other person that your idea will definitely be suitable, right? No, that articulation and ability to influence people, all those things are part of this session. And finally, we are looking at, one second. Yeah, we are looking at digital tools, because this is again a very important thing. A lot of us know how to use gadgets, but how to use it productively. When I mean productively, how do I use a Quora or LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram to show that I'm a thought leader, right? There's this kid who wanted to join CRED, CRED. It's again a unicorn startup. Now this kid, he was a 3D animator, and what he did was he actually went ahead and created a 3D video. Video with 3D graphics, and he shared it with on LinkedIn with a lot of people. Now that reached CRED people, and he has been offered a internship with them. So this is how one needs to use digital tools. But I think most of us are using digital tools for entertainment, but not for achievement or promotion, promoting our skills. So that's again an important aspect that is covered as part of the session. So the session is designed in such a way that it's online learning and self-learning. We are going to drive this entire program with case studies, and we are also bringing you one of the best trainers in this subject. Mr. Sriram Nagnathan is the person who will be training the students, and he has done a fantastic job for the batch 1, and he's going to come up with a much improvised version, the version 2.0 of this program. So those who are going to attend the batch 2 will be seeing an advanced more level of the program. So you should definitely consider this. And the students who are participating in batch 1, we are going to kind of keep them along with us for a long time, because we as an organization believe in continuous development. So it's not just somebody comes in for a particular course and then they leave. We're going to keep troubling people to come and attend our various webinars that we do, knowledge webinars, and then continuously helping children and parents, educators to learn how to develop the next generation. So Sriram Nagnathan is the trainer, and the sessions will be on Saturdays and Sundays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And so it will be a 16-hour program, and that's how we have designed it. So we are starting on next week, June 12th. And very important and have very happy news is, along with the Pioneer program, we are also including career planning as part of the program, where the children who are participating have an option to do career planning as part of the session, where they can take up a career assessment. They will also get a personalized career guidance, and if required, they will also get an expert mentoring from an industry expert, right? So that those three stages are offered as part of this program. And the career assessment that we will provide to the students will help us understand what are the interest areas of the child, and what are the behavioral traits of the child, whether they are introvert, extrovert, how they respond to a situation. We also understand about the child, about how they learn from the environment, what is their dominant learning style, and that actually influences the way influences or decides success failure in their professional world. And finally, the motivational needs. And this is one of my favorite, because it tells me when somebody is applying for a job, they are applying for the job because they want to grow in the job, or they are applying for the job because they think it's like they can come for 9 to 5 and they can chill out in the evening, right? So I get to know people with this kind of a test. So this again helps us to align them in the right way. So imagine these tests are to help the child to align them, like the wheel alignment that we do for our cars. It's like that. So we have 4 wheels, and we need to align those wheels in the right manner so that they can have a smooth ride into their future. So and very importantly, it's my responsibility. I need to tell you the fees. So we have 3 price plans. One is Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. Plan A is 5,000 rupees for the workshop. Plan B is workshop plus career guidance. We have given a very steep discount, to make sure to encourage students to come and participate, and benefit from thinking skills and as well as career planning. And Plan C, where this is ideal for 11th and 12th grade students, where they can, take the career planning and expert mentoring and also attend the Pioneer program. So these are the 3 plans. And if you think that you would be interested and you would want to participate in the session, and you would like to be part of the program, this is the link, bit.ly/FC Pioneer. So if you can register here, there's no payment that is required right now. Once you register and choose the appropriate package, we will then talk to you and take things forward with you. So that's about it, and happy to take any questions you may have as part of the session. So yeah, any questions, anybody? Or if you are done, okay, great. Okay, so I think there's not much questions, but as I hope to see you all soon, and do spread the word. That's the best that one can do for us at this point of time, because whatever we do it passionately, we do it with a lot of love for the next generation. So if at all you can spread the word and let people know that there's something like this, that will be of great support. And thank you very much for listening to me patiently. I hope I've stuck to the time that I've promised. And do take care, do stay safe, and take care of your neighbors as well. Thank you so much, and good night to all.